What we're saying is that, in fact, this whole cleanup of $1 billion is a fraud. They have not cleaned it up. And one of the persons who has done a long time investigation of this is a reporter. She's written in San Francisco Bayview, which is the most important paper for covering what has happened at Treasure Island, and that's Carol Harvey. Welcome, Carol Harvey.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Treasure Island and Hunters Point are Siamese twins. They are umbilically connected by the history, the naval history, and by the toxics and pollutants that were dumped on both of them, ranging from cesium-137 to plutonium. These are powerful radioactive materials. I have been researching and reporting on Treasure Island because it seems to have been hit by a media blockade by the power players in the federal and the state and city government, starting with Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi, and Willie Brown. I like the word collusion for what is being talked about here, because this is a case of collusion by, I have counted them, about 30 power players, starting with Pelosi, Feinstein, Jane Kim.
Yes.
Jane Kim was repeatedly asked to help sick people on Treasure Island who are being evicted, and she didn't help anybody. HUD, Andre Patterson, who's here today, who is a whistleblower, give great credit to Andre and Felita, the first female whistleblower on Treasure Island, because they pointed out that HUD is deeply involved in the collusion. That's why, not talking about this, there's been this, Steve wrote an article called The Strange Silence of Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein about Tetra Tech. He's absolutely right. This silence does amount to collusion and obstruction of justice. They know what's happening, and they're turning a blind eye and doing nothing. So I've been writing about this, my voice in a high wind, for 4 years on the San Francisco Bayview newspaper to bring to light the blockade, the media blockade, that has stopped anybody from knowing about the toxins on Treasure Island. And many, many poor people and people of color were brought to Treasure Island when the Navy decommissioned it, because they were going to use Treasure Island to solve the problem of homelessness. Somebody got a brilliant idea. We're going to solve homelessness by giving homeless people subsidies and stuffing them on Treasure Island. So they gave them subsidies, put them in programs, and their rents, and this has been published in the news, their rents were intended to be used to maintain that island after the Navy left, to keep the buildings from falling down so that they could later redevelop it, and to redevelop it. So all of this money was being taken from the subsidized Treasure Islanders for 20 years while they were living next to radiation zones and getting sick. I have an article that's going to come out on the San Francisco Bayview newspaper that talks about 7 sick people and what they went through. I've already written about Andre and Felita, who are here, and the sicknesses that they've had. If you don't mind my saying so, Andre has tumors on his back and his shoulder from living on Treasure Island, he believes. Felita has had violent kidney pain, and I was able to find out that she was living over a powerful source of radiation that was right under her house.
Yes.
And the two people who Felita lived on the top floor. The two people lived on the lower floor, closer to the radioactive source, died. They died. Felita's life was probably saved by the fact that she lived on the top floor. So these people have been used. They've been taken out to this island and used for their rents for this redevelopment. And the people involved in doing that were Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, Jane Kim, HUD, and a host, 30 other players who know what's going on and have continued what Steve calls a strange silence about it. That's collusion, that's obstruction of justice, that's fraud. And the idea of standing here in front of this building is to let the district attorney's office know that we know about this and we will not let this continue. The victims on Treasure Island need help. All the money that's being paid by the taxpayers to Tetra Tech and cleaning up Tetra Tech's act ought to go to the victims on Treasure Island.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you. Now, one of the other important aspects of this case is the fact that the city, there's an election right now. There's an election going on right now, and that you would think that the mayoral candidates would have something to say about this. I mean, I want to introduce two people today who've been personally affected by the corruption and the cover-up at Treasure Island. They can come up here. They're both whistleblowers who've put their lives in jeopardy by speaking out about what's happened. They're people who have been terribly harmed. We're not just talking about money. We're talking about people dying. I mean, in fact, these are crimes. And they're involved in a RICO to cover up this development regardless of the cost, regardless of who dies, regardless of who gets cancer. That is criminal. And they have to be held accountable. This U.S. attorney, this government has to hold these politicians accountable. That's what we're calling for here today. So welcome.
Hi, I'm Andre Patterson, and I was on Treasure Island from 2004 to 2013. I am mentally disabled, and I was in a program called Shelter Plus Care, which is ran through HUD. And they didn't tell me there was radiation out there. And I had a ground unit. I have 2 cancerous tumors. I went through a serious meltdown for my health, and I complained to my landlord, because our landlord is the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of San Francisco. They get our rent money, but it's the Roman Catholic Archdiocese. How can a church put the parishioners on a contaminated site? And you say anything about it, they'll throw you off the island. Everyone's involved in this cover-up. HUD is the biggest player of this contamination. HUD Rule 24, CFR 50.3, prohibitive use of a contaminated site. HUD is responsible for allowing the city of San Francisco to fund about $44 billion in 20 years. Jay Kim is one of the main factors of Tetra Tech getting soft money to run for the state senate, and she lost that position. Now she's running for the mayor, but she will not say anything about the contamination in her district. She needs to be indicted this morning for attempted murder and murder, because we've had 35 tenants to die on Treasure Island, and the landlord is sitting around the Roman Catholic Archdiocese and getting fat, and everyone is coming up with the Catholic Church. The church needs to be accountable for all the deaths on Treasure Island.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Felita Sample, and I lived on Treasure Island from 2004 to 2017, and for 13 years. And that I lived right by 1101 Bigelow Court, where Don Wadsworth, a Navy expert who works with the Navy, has extensive experience working with radiation, said that that people were not supposed to ever live out there on Treasure Island. And I live right by, less than 50 feet. I have an enlarged heart. I had bad kidney problems. Almost died twice. I never had any health problems or anything like that. And that I moved out this last year in October 2017. And Max Garcia has put 2 other people in that apartment, 1406 Sturgeon Apartment B. On Treasure Island, that's right by 1101 Bigelow Court, and 2 people lived there since I moved out in October 2017, and that is really bad. The first lady that moved in there, she got sick, and she had to move, so they moved someone else in there. It's really bad out there. So I just want to let you know that that's my story.
Thank you, brothers and sisters.